everyone, welcome back to Rise and Radiate with Anjum. Today I have with me someone who has faced life's toughest storm and still standing tall, building life and business on her own terms. Please welcome Sana Aftab. Hi Sana, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi Anjum, thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So Sana, as people see you today as a successful entrepreneur, please tell us more about your journey. What was that one moment when you decided that you're going to take control of your life and you decided to do this?
Thank you for the kind words. Actually, मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैं अभी इतनी successful हुई हूँ. It's very much a process. It's a journey. So, but yeah, I think that I have taken the correct step in formally starting my business and essentially introducing my product or the philosophy behind our product into the market. And a lot of people are getting acquainted with what we want to give to them, compared to what is available in the market in terms of skincare or wellness products or lifestyle products.
So, Sana, please tell us more about your company and about your products as well.
So I actually got some products for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
As a little token of welcome to Kashmir. This is
Thank
what we got
you.
for
I'm
you.
going to show it off.
So all of these are made by hand.
Really? So, and can you just give me, tell me more about it? What exactly is this?
So that's a serum for your face. It's made with Kashmiri silkworms and mulberry. So it's very good for your skin, for removing antioxidants and also for removing fine lines. So that's one. Secondly is a rose and kurk coffee soap. This is for your body. It's essentially for removing cellulite and dry skin and dead skin also. Then there's one more soap. This is actually a hand soap. This is herb and clay. It's lavender and yak milk from Ita. So
Wow.
you can have a very nice aromatherapy or aromatic experience. And
Yeah.
the third soap is a saffron and yak milk soap for your face.
Oh, okay. So, what is that idea behind it or philosophy behind it? From where this came? Shop local.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's
small
the
business.
idea behind the whole business.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea came to me when I was about 3 years ago. I was at home in Qatar. My kids were born in Qatar, and that's where the idea for this business came on me. I'm an engineer and a DA by profession, so science and chemistry is something I've always been, interested in. But being in Qatar at that time, it was literally just the start of the COVID lockdown, and I had 2 kids under 2 at that time. And being a mother and, being very hyper aware of all the infection and hand hygiene, infection control, all those things that COVID was, bringing to the forefront, I realized that the products which are available in the market, especially for kids or people with sensitive skin, don't have a lot of options which are organic or clean chemicals, right? So
Okay.
everything is a chemical. If you look at the ingredient list of all of your products, everything will be a chemical. So if people tell you it's chemical free,
Yeah.
that's
But it's not actually a chemical. So, when it comes to the baby products or when it comes to the products for kids, what is that one chemical that people should avoid or should see? Like, whenever they're buying a product for their kids, they should avoid that ingredient. What is that harmful one ingredient you
I
think?
think it's not just one. I would actually say 3, at
Okay.
least 3. So when it comes to kids or people who have really sensitive skin, you should avoid salicylic acid. You should avoid any form of silicone, and you should avoid any form of parabens. Because salicylic acid, what actually does, it cracks your skin. So it's actually a chemical peel. It's usually used for people who have really damaged skin, abrasions or acne scars, or you have very high tanning. And then the skin is basically cracked, and then it gets removed through exfoliation through the soap. So if your skin is essentially very sensitive, or if you have a baby skin, there's no need for salicylic acid in these situations. Then again, silicone and parabens are essentially very bad for your health in the long term because they have a tendency to get absorbed into the skin, into the bloodstream, and they can result in hormone disruptions. They're also very bad for the environment. Microplastics are also very bad for the environment because once they are used by humans, they essentially enter the water stream. From the water stream, they enter plants, fish, animals. And then what we do is we end up consuming all these microplastics.
Yeah.
That's why you see there have been uptick of incidents of high blood pressure or even heart attacks in very young people, like in their 30s or 40s, people are essentially getting
Yes,
heart
yes.
attacks. And the reason has been that all these microplastics have been incorporated in our blood and in our blood vessels. And these are essentially causing all of these really severe health issues, which nobody really realizes.
Yeah, we don't really realize it. So we're like, yeah, maybe I don't know what's the reason, but yeah, we were seeing, the young people maybe in their 20s also, and they're getting the heart attacks and heart strokes.
And even people who are very sensitive to fragrances or essential
Yeah.
oils, a lot of chemicals from these fragrances have hormone disruptors. So you see women using a lot of these, perfumes or body mists or even all of your cosmetics. Makeup has a lot of perfume. If you look at the ingredient list, you see perfume is one of the main ingredients of your skincare or cosmetic products. And in the long term, that's essentially resulting in hormone disruptions and endocrine disruption. Your fertility issues are linked to perfume. So a lot of skincare option available in the market. They don't have options of a chemical or a clean chemical or a fragrance-free option.
Yeah.
This is something we are introducing. We have a lot of options which are essentially fragrance-free, with just the soap or just the cream or just the body wash without any fragrances.
I think that's very nice. Going back to that old era of using those traditional soaps, I think it's one of the best thing that you can do to your skin. Because आज के time पर क्या होता है कि we feel like we see the labels and we see the price tags. If something that gonna come at the cost of 100 rupees, we feel like this is something not good, but something which will come at the cost of maybe 2000 or 3000, तो वो हमें automatically feel हो जाता है कि this must be good for our skin, क्योंकि शायद उसमें expensive ingredients होंगे.
Most of the times expensive ingredients होते हैं, but the proportion of those expensive ingredients is not that high, क्योंकि फिर वो manufacturer को बनाने में बहुत expensive हो जाएगा.
Right.
So if you're actually paying for a lot of, if you're paying the price point that is higher than your average, you're essentially paying for branding.
Right.
You're essentially paying for a very fancy looking box or a very fancy looking jar of the product. But if you look
Yes.
at the ingredients, most of them are very, very standard, because that's where companies cut costs.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody who looks at, let's say, is the budget, because these kind of a natural soaps may not be available in most of the metro cities. Okay, maybe it is available now in Kashmir, in the places. So if I'll have to talk and ask you about something which somebody can get, any brand that would you like to recommend for the face wash or something like this, where you feel like यार ये तो मतलब budgeted भी है and it's good for the skin.
So I think for our brand, our contemporary is a product. It's a company called Juicy Chemistry.
Okay.
Who use a lot of clean and organic skincare. And the good thing about their products is that they don't have a lot of preservatives in it. So a lot of their products have very short shelf life, like 6 months, 1 year, or even less. So that's the ethos we wouldn't be happy. We don't use a lot of preservatives in our products. And most of our products, the ingredients are food-based. So we have plant oils, we have nut butters, we have essential oils, we have dried flowers, dried herbs. We even use a lot of mineral clays which are found in rivers and stream beds in Kashmir. We use a lot of exotic ingredients which are found only in this region, like Kashmiri saffron, lavender, rose, rosemary, citronella, Kashmiri white honey. So a lot of our lip balms have beeswax. So a lot of our products have yak milk, which we procure from Ladakh, apricot oil, which we procure from Kargil. So, a lot of these ingredients are very, very clean, because the air and water in Kashmir is very clean still, because there's not a lot of industrialization, not a lot of factories are here.
Right.
So that we can say the source itself is quite clean. So we are the clean beauty or a clean ingredients company. And we're also very ethical in our sourcing. We're very transparent where we are getting our products from, where we're getting our packaging from. We don't use any child labor produced products. We don't use mica. So mica is a chemical that you find in all of your eyeshadow, lip balm, or your foundation, because that's what gives the shiny.
Okay.
The shiny thing that you see in your eyeshadow or your foundation is actually a chemical called mica. And mica, most of the mica in the world comes from Jharkhand, the mines in Jharkhand, and they are primarily run by child labor.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And it's like really harmful for your skin if we see this ingredient.
I don't think if it's harmful or not. Maybe if you use too much of it, it's harmful. But it's not just the mica itself, but the way it is procured. It is procured from these really tiny mites that only kids grow, because they are so tiny, adults cannot go inside. And then Sometimes they get trapped there. Sometimes they inhale this mica.
Mhm.
Most of the time, they don't have any protective equipment like no gloves, no mask, and no eye protection.
Yeah.
So a lot of handmade products also, like if you look at handmade products that have mica as a coloring in them,
Mm-hmm.
they are essentially not in line with what our company is all about. So we use a lot of clay. So
Okay.
we use kaolin clay, we use rose clay, we use Kashmiri grey clay, we use a lot of activated charcoal, we
Mhm.
use a lot of drying herbs in our coloring, basically how you color your soaps or your chemicals. We use a lot of food-based coloring.
Okay.
So that's one more thing that we have very different from what is available in the market. And like I said, it's all about transparency. We want to be very clear about what ingredients we are using, and there's a lot of geotagging available in our sourcing. So if someone wants to know where exactly was the yarn procured from, or where exactly was the saffron procured from, you can go on our website and find that information.
Oh, that's really nice. So, if keeping this thing aside, and if on a personal ground, I would like to know, what is that one moment when you thought that having your own mini completely changed your life?
I think once I realized I don't have to work for someone else, I don't have to go to an office. That was one realization that I think this is good, because I have a lot of time which I can focus on either on the kids or I can focus on just one aspect of the business. So if I have to focus on just the designing of a product.
No, I mean, like, let's say, as being a single mother, when you had the money with you, so like it changed the way or it helped you, like how exactly it is. Just take us through that.
I think the fact that my kids are very involved in the selling of my product, because we had a small store in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Because single mother, my kids are like 95% of the time they're around me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interruption which is happening in my decision making or in my thought process.
Mhm.
But it also is very grounding, because I can see what they see the value of a mother who is trying to build something as a legacy for them.
But how hard it was for you to start things on your own?
It's
That
very hard. It's still hard. Like, I don't think it ever gets easy. It's just that you get comfortable with the difficulty of the process. I don't
Yeah.
think it ever gets easy. Being single mother is never easy.
So when
every
you-
day is a new challenge.
So when you actually had this toughest phase of your life, where you actually had to choose yourself, sometime you gotta choose yourself, right? That's how things go. So, like, how difficult that decision was, because society often labeled you, either you are divorced or you're single. They have their own labels, and that they labeled you. So how you coped up with that, and how difficult was that?
So for me, being a single mother was never a problem, to be honest, because I come from a background where women have been very empowered from the beginning. So my mother was a working woman. My sister, my uncles, aunts, cousins, all of us are IB educated, and all of them worked. Even my grandmother, she became a widow when she was barely 30. She was not educated, and she raised 6 children on her own, and all of them became either government employees or gazetted officers and stuff like that. So I think my grandmom and my mother were always there for me as a.
Yeah, but I think when you actually decide, and when you are in a toxic relationship for any reasons, not just the marriage thing. Like, in fact, my sister, she went through the divorce, and I remember the people around, okay, they'll be like, you can't do it. Once you are in that kind of a relationship, the divorce became the taboo. I understand आज के time पर लोग नहीं adjust कर रहे हैं, या they're taking, but it is also a thing where it becomes essential. Okay, एक point पर आके बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है that you choose yourself. Okay, and there is this one very beautiful thing, when I say, is like, if you knew that the plane is going to crash, would you still sit in that plane? No, would you still sit in that plane just because you bought the ticket? No, right? So it's like, if you are into a relationship, but if it is not working out for you, it is okay to go out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Choose your peace and choose your safety. These are the
When you
dreams
choose
or
peace,
things.
it comes with a lot of goodbyes.
Yeah.
And that is okay. Anything which is coming at the cost of your mental health
Yeah.
is too expensive to afford. Never afford it. So I think this is that
I
one.
think it's a bit of both. It's not just mental health, but
Yeah.
it's also your safety, because
Yeah.
being in any situation which is not safe for you. So by safety, I don't just mean physical harm.
Yeah.
I also mean emotional safety. I also mean the ability to not feel like you're welcome in this environment, or
Yes.
your ambitions are supposedly too big, or
Yeah.
you're supposed to dim your light.
Yeah.
So I think that itself is an unsafe environment.
Yes.
It's unsafe. If it's unsafe for the mother, it's unsafe.
It's
for the kids.
yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I say.
And how important you think it is, for a woman to have her own money?
100% is absolutely important. That's the first thing I tell to everyone, to make sure you have your own money, make sure you are investing your money,
Yes.
make sure you are getting all of your insurances in place, like your health insurance, your farm insurance, your property insurance, your fire insurance,
Hmm.
because nobody is coming to save you. At the end of the day, you're on.
It's gonna be you only.
On your
So
own.
in fact, if somebody asked an advice from me, like especially for a woman, I always say that women should be financially independent. This is not because of being materialistic, but it is about using your money in a right direction. Invest, grow, because money brings the power of decision making power on the table, that you can stand up for yourself. So if tomorrow you will have to choose someone, you don't have to choose someone just because that person is providing you something. He's a provider. You choose someone because that person brings respect, love, and care that you are seeking for.
And you know what? There's one more thing that I'd like to introduce here. So when we say the man is a provider, at the end of the day, what exactly is he providing? He's providing funds. He's providing shelter. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I
Everything
mean.
else a woman provides, and whatever labor that the woman does,
Nobody
at-
counts that.
at home. Like if she's taking care of the kids, if she's taking care of the elder parents, if she's taking care of the house, she's doing all of this manual labor.
Yeah,
This is all unpaid labor.
yeah.
At the end of the day, so when you say I'm the provider and you don't do anything, what exactly are you? Like, who exactly are you?
No,
Shit,
exactly. So that's what
you
I
are,
say.
you are being given a lot of services
Yeah,
without
yeah.
any payments. So
Yes.
try incorporating that in your everyday. So if you have to pay the maid for cooking separate, washing separate, cleaning separate, child labor separate,
Hmm.
elder care separate, and your emotional management at the
Yeah.
house, keeping your house safe, because at the end of the day you're also sitting in the house and saving the house, right?
Absolutely.
All of that is unpaid labor that a woman does. So, how about, okay, no, just pay me then. If you
Yeah.
know how to
Yeah.
go to the house and earn my own money, just
Yeah.
pay me for
Yeah.
all these things. So
You
it's
just to be like, very, very careful. And if, let's say, if you choose someone, you should choose it out of love, not for your survival. It's very important. I always say that loves take the back seat. It's always an understanding and respect that should matter the most. So if you can't respect me, you can't love me.
That's true.
So if you love me, you gotta respect me. We should have that kind of a mutual understanding. And if the mutual understanding and respect is not there, that's the end of a relationship or a love for me.
Yeah, you're touching on a very important point that is very underrepresented in today's discussion. That's called a trauma bond.
Yeah.
So women who are trapped in abusive relationships think that love and abuse is two sides of the same coin. It's not.
It is
If
not.
you're being abused, trust me, that person doesn't love you. That's the
Period.
the end of
Yes,
it, right?
the
So
end of
what
it,
you're
yeah.
actually thinking is a trauma bond.
Yeah.
You're addicted to that trauma, and then the good feeling that you get when the trauma ends. But then you also know that trauma is going to come back. So you're always in this state of hypervigilance,
Hmm.
which is adrenaline. And adrenaline and hypervigilance is very toxic in our body. Again,
Yeah,
getting back
yeah.
to the hormone.
No, you're absolutely right, because it traumatized you in so many ways. People say it was a long back. See the memory. So, for example, if I'll have something bad memory, or maybe if I was traumatized, even if it was 15 years back, I'll still remember that. Maybe if I'll happy 10 years back, I might forget that. But जो trauma होता है वो आप कभी नहीं भूल
You're going
सकते.
to remember trauma, and
हाँ.
people say कि time के साथ तुम सुधर जाओगे. No. So I think if you talk about trauma, it's essentially like it's a jar, it's a glass jar, and inside the glass jar is a stone. The stone represents the trauma. So with age, the trauma doesn't reduce in size, which is that the jar becomes bigger.
They're
So your
absolutely-
capacity to adjust your life around that trauma becomes more. Yes, like you sort of adjust more to it, or you become bigger
Yeah.
in your ability to
Yeah.
tolerate that trauma.
Yeah.
But the trauma doesn't.
वो कभी आपको नहीं छोड़ता. Trauma can never leave you. And when people say कि यार बहुत टाइम हो गया, and I always say कि यार जख्म ठीक होने से हाथ से नहीं भुलाए जाते हैं. So you always
Your
remember.
body actually remembers trauma. That's
Yes.
why if you talk about post-traumatic stress, especially people who have been in very severe accidents, or someone has been to a war, or someone
Yeah.
has been in a plane crash, their body remembers that trauma. It's in the subconscious.
Yeah.
Your conscious, the fractal part of your thinking, maybe it's not there, But in the background, it's always there because the brain is designed for survival. Your body is designed for survival. So whenever you think that this situation or this person has caused me to be in a state where I felt for my life, where I felt for my safety, then your body will try to reject that risk.
Yeah. So how do you handle, let's say, is the people around you? Okay, whenever people see a smart woman, they're afraid of it. Okay, and only a weak man is afraid of a strong woman.
Yeah.
If the man is an empowered man, he'll gonna empower his women. So if he is weak, he'll be really scared of an empowered woman. So when people try to give you certain kind of a label, which I'm sure you might have gone through with all those things, how you handled that, and like it really affected you, and if it does, what you did?
When I was younger, maybe I was in my teens, I've been given this label of being very tez. I was 13, 14, 15, and I was always tez. Like, people have always thought of me as someone who's very arrogant or very blunt. I might have been at that time because I was quite young, so it's a growing journey for all of us, the emotional maturity that comes with age. So, but now I think it really doesn't matter to me what label people give me because I'm very self-assured as a person. I know if I have some flaws, where there are those flaws, in what situations those flaws are coming forward, and how do I want to maybe reduce the appearance of those flaws. I'm not saying that all of my flaws are gone, but I have learned to maybe navigate my own issues. So, one thing that I've really been working on is emotional regulation because I also have 2 boys who are looking up to me, how I manage my stress, how I'm showing my emotions, on what situations I'm getting angry and what situations I'm being calm. So that has been a very conscious decision by me that I work a lot on my emotional regulation. So if there are some things which are bothering me or if there are things which are making me angry or making me upset, a lot of times I just distance myself from that environment. I maybe just don't talk to anyone or don't, sort of be in that situation. I stay alone in my room till I feel that, okay, now I'm stable and calm now. Because I don't want my kids to see that I'm very agitated or very affected by it.
Yeah, because I know somewhere I understand it when I started the things, right? And of course, so when you see a smart woman, you don't call it a smart woman, you call it a chalak ladki. We know it very well. तेज बहुत तेज लड़की है या बेच खाएगी.
So it's a good thing. Tez is like so ambiguous. Oh, बहुत तेज है.
बहुत तेज लड़की है, exactly. So it's like there were like too many labels. Like even I faced it. उस time पर जब शायद मुझे पता भी नहीं था कि उन labels का मतलब क्या होता है. They are trying to demotivate me या defame me. But I think one thing was like I was very strong enough, and no matter what label people try to give it to me, I always replace it with the one I choose for myself. So if you'll call me a chalak, I'll call it myself a strong, independent woman, a confident woman. So I'll choose it for myself. So I don't let other people choose what label they want to give it to me. I don't give it that power to anyone.
To be honest, as you grow older, even the labels don't matter because you're like,
doesn't matter. Yeah, we have, I think,
life with both important things in it.
This we have reached to a point in our life, or if I'll have to say, I've reached to a point in my life where nothing bothers me. मतलब अगर कुछ भी हो जाए तो मुझे लगता है कुछ नहीं होगा. We'll do it, we'll handle it, I will look into it. क्या ही हो जाएगा, I will take care of it. कोई सोच रहा है, उनके पास शायद कुछ और काम नहीं होगा. Let them think whatever they want to. So I think it is very important to stay unbothered, and that's how only you can stay focused and you can grow in your life. And apart from this, how I can say a friendship, if I'll have to talk about the friendship, so how and what do you have to say about the female friendship?
Oh, I have tons of female friends, and we are definitely being each other's rock many times.
Yes.
So just recently, I was speaking to a friend of mine. She's one of my oldest friends. I think we are friends since we were 4 years old.
Wow.
So you can say 35 years of friendship. And this friendship is not been without its ups and downs. So there was a time when we weren't even talking. When we were in our 20s, we had this miscommunication or argument, whatever. And then we were not talking for a long time. And then when we reconnected again, it was as if we had never stopped talking. Like you were actually able to pick up from the right point when we had stopped. And then Now I think we are becoming more and more close than we were before because both of us are mothers, both of us have the same challenges, and
But there is this
really
one thing in
understand each
the
other.
yes that I think this women I was always been very lucky, and I think I should call myself luckiest person to have one of the best female friends around me. And the best part about the female friendship, first of all, you understand the importance of the female friendship when you enters in your 30s.
Absolutely.
ओके, दैट्स हाउ यू अंडरस्टैंड। मेल फ्रेंडशिप क्या होती है, काफी ज्यादा हार्ड रॉक टाइप्स होती है कि अगर लड़के का रोने का मन भी कर रहा है तो वो अपने दोस्त के आगे नहीं रोएगा, नो मैटर वो कितना क्लोज फ्रेंड है, राइट। ही विल ऑलवेज बी लाइक कि मैं इसको अपने इमोशंस नहीं दिखा सकता। बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू द फीमेल फ्रेंडशिप, दे विल बी लाइक दे cry no matter what they want to do, and the other friend will walk through it.
Yeah.
So the only way of dealing with the pain is to go through it. Okay, so it's a kind of a sea where if you will just stand at the one corner, you will be in the pain throughout your life.
Yeah.
So you have to just keep going. So you have to go through with it. और अगर आपके साथ आपकी एक फीमेल फ्रेंड है तो वो आपके साथ वो दरिया साथ में पार करेगी, and then she'll drop you to the other side of the
And you
career.
know what? You have touched on a very good point that for women, the depth of our friendships is actually much more deeper than what men have. Even though
Yeah.
men in this room might disagree, but for men, it's a lot of that caveman and the hive mentality. कि
Yes.
we are in this together, and
Yeah.
आप सही कर रहे हो, गलत कर रहे हो, हम तो अच्छी direction में जाएं. That's
Yeah.
why you see that in wars, men are like hyper focused.
Yeah.
Women, we are more like we are a tribe.
Yeah.
We're not a hive, we're a tribe. So
Mm.
and this also comes into the picture when you are raising kids together, because if you look at how humans have evolved, child rearing has always been the responsibility of a lot of women. It was never the responsibility of just one woman. So
And
they
also
say-
there's a lot of things that you can discuss with your female friends,
Yeah.
which you can't discuss with your male friends, no matter how good you have
and
a male
also,
friend.
the experience of being a woman, you can't really expect a man to understand what is the
Absolutely,
experience of being
yeah.
a woman. Yeah, the emotional, the roller coaster you go, even in
Yeah.
one day. Like in the morning, तुम्हारा mood कुछ और होगा, दिन को
शाम को
कुछ और
तुम्हारा
होगा,
कुछ
शाम
और।
को कुछ और
So
होगा.
if you want to understand emotions, if you want to know how the emotions, you must definitely have one female friend. Even for a guys, I'm saying you must have a female friend.
and one more important thing is women who have very strong female friends, they actually live longer.
So female friendship is very important that you definitely understand when you enter in your 30s. जब आपको चाहिए होता है कोई साथ में जो आपको exactly आपके इमोशंस समझ सके, no matter how good male friend you have, उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। जो इमोशंस एक फीमेल फ्रेंड समझ सकती है, आपको वो एक मेल फ्रेंड नहीं समझ सकता।
कई बार आपको कुछ बोलने की जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ती है। लाइक जिस टाइप की मैं बात कर रही हूँ, उनका नाम इज़मा है, तो कई बार मुझे उसकी शक्ल देख के समझ आता है व्हाट शी इज गोइंग।
Yes,
तो बोलने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती,
नहीं जरूरत
बिकॉज़ आई एम प्रॉब्ली wired so much क्योंकि हम बहुत बहुत पुराने स्टाइल से।
Yeah, I think this is something very important. And do you have sisters? Like, do you
I have elder sister.
Okay, so how's the things like? What is that sister's bond?
Like that, she's 5.5 years older than me, so she's always been very protective of me. Then when we had our brother, we were already quite old again, so we were kind of like two surrogate mothers of our baby brother. तो मैं कभी सबको ये बोलूँ कि हमें बच्चे पालना किसी ने सिखाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, because we raised our own fathers. So we were already prepared, you know,
Yeah.
as a bond, and we had a role.
I think it's also very important that sibling thing is like you are born with the friends. If if you share the good bond, and I think it is very very important. Nobody can stand shoulder to shoulder to you the way your brother or your sister does it for you. So I think it's important.
I think it varies क्योंकि कई बार आपके siblings भी toxic हो सकते हैं।
बिल्कुल हो सकते हैं, they can be.
But on the whole, it's always good to have.
But to set that boundaries also, it is very very important. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि किसी भी relationship में अगर that where I always say कि यार financially independence होना, मतलब एक independence होना, अपने आप में independent होना, वो इसलिए भी ज़्यादा important है when you look at the men या women दोनों के लिए। when they say कि यार I'm living in a very toxic environment, मैं घर में हूँ, सब कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा toxic है, तो वो क्यों बाहर नहीं निकल सकते? क्योंकि मैं कहाँ रहूँगी, कहाँ जाऊँगा, क्या करूँगा, क्योंकि वो फाइनेंशियली इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है। अगर आप एक फाइनेंशियली इंडिपेंडेंट हो तो आपके अंदर वो पावर आ जाती है टू क्रिएट एन एनवायरनमेंट दैट यू वांट टू लिव इन।
I think और बाकी लोग भी आपको एक अलग नजरिए से देखते हैं। A lot of
Money
times
comes with the power and it brings the respect.
Toxicity or the abuse in a relationship comes when they know that they have upper hand and
Absolutely.
power dynamics is in the relationship itself.
Yes, yes, yes.
तो अगर आपके पास ज्यादा भी नहीं, अगर अपना पैसा है कि इतना है कि आप आगे चल के खुद इंडिपेंडेंटली रह सकते हैं, that person also knows कि no, this person might just leave me.
Yes.
तो वो भी एक वजह है कि कई बार औरतों को डिस्करेज किया जाता है घर से बाहर निकलने से या कमाने से, ताकि वो बंदी रहे.
So I think women need to make their own path. Stop listening to the people around you कि वो support कर रहे हैं नहीं कर रहे हैं वो क्या चाह रहे हैं. You need to have your own money and yet you have to use it in a right direction. You have to save it and
Invest it.
And invest it. That's very
I always say,
important.
you don't just earn, invest.
Yeah, invest your money and invest your money in a right direction and grow. That's the ultimate mantra I can say. There's nothing apart from this.
So I would like to say, especially for women who are Muslims, who are married, always remember one thing: your religion gives you a lot of power in your marriage, right? Especially when it comes to finances of the household.
Yeah.
So a lot of women who are Muslims don't know this. The Sharia says that when you are a wife, my money is my money and your money is my money. So that's Sharia.
Yeah.
That's what our religion says. That's what every Muslim man who is getting married or who's married should remember this.
Yeah.
Your wife has the right on your money and you don't have a right on her money. That's what Islam says. So all your codes about, women should be inside, or like you have to give me the...
There is no
the standard
50-50. There is no 50.
That is a comes with the price.
Yeah. And
man.
and also there is nothing which is like 50-50. And Islam also says you got to be a provider. So you got to provide, and provider doesn't always mean. So again, I'm going back to the same thing. So it doesn't mean that, as a woman that you look up to somebody that he'll gonna provide, but you got to have your own money. Then you can look for a provider, so that tomorrow when you choose someone, it's not for a money or for a survival. It's just because that you have your own money, but it's actually
and statistics also have said that when a woman has her own money, it's very unlikely she will not invest in her house or in her husband or in her kids. Usually women are very, very generous with it.
Yes,
so
yes.
The men who are always hoarding the money, and that's statistic. It's not something I'm saying just because I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
पर मैं आपको सच्ची बात बोल रही हूँ, अगर आप आंकड़ों की बात करें, whenever a woman starts earning the money, she always invests in her family. Yeah.
And that's really nice. Thank you so much, Sana. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching Rise and Radiate with Anjum.